This is Word Renegade Witchesblog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done. Of course, go to the Word Renegade website, see the information there in reference to the phone number to hit me up for any questions, in reference to one-on-one monthly lessons, one-on-one lessons that I do with individuals that I work very closely, in addition to work, and understand that work is not part of it, but it can be incorporated, meaning two different energies, two different costs. One-on-one lessons, monthly lessons are offered monthly, of course. I used to go about it and have different type of themes. Maybe I'll start going back to that, or however, whatever you want to work on. So maybe for next month, I'll come up with some energies in reference to some frequencies. As you already know, I was also offering like direct and specific type of lessons, and what I call spiritual care in reference to deprogramming. And deprogramming can mean anything from relationships to cult shit to anything. Okay. However, also I was offering the abortion frequencies. We could get into that a little bit further if you have questions in reference to abortion care, counseling, work pertaining to that, and having understanding. That's a whole other frequencies. And again, you already know that Wayward does the one-on-one frequencies where I work with people very closely. It could be from advocating, it could be some appearances and helping them out, just all type of stuff. I work very closely one-on-one, especially because everything is occultism and deals with spell work, even understanding contracts and more and more and more. However, you already know that art is occultism. Occultism is a motherfucking art, and Wayward is about that revenge, redemption, responsibility, and that motherfucking spell work. And understand, I have to say to you that I talk occult frequencies, because some of you people, have certain things confused. However, in this universal soul, it's been exhausting, okay? And there's so many bullshit energies going around in air and philosophies. And the more as we're going through the Jubilee, the worse it's getting. But it's so much so that shit is a fucking illusion. I don't know what to think, and what to think. All I know is that the spiritual frequency of it is misdirected. The spiritual energy of it is imbalanced. The spiritual energy of it has us imbalanced and thinking the wrong way. The spiritual frequency of it has, we're going to say in some people cases, or many people cases, pockets tight, pockets empty, confusion, the illusion of you not making money, the illusion of losing jobs, the illusion, but none of it is real, right? So as I'm looking at the spiritual frequencies, we should, as you guys were talking about black fatigue, we should have Trump fatigue. And as we already understand, we don't know who in the fuck that is in office, but for giggles and laughs, we should play the game of like, what the fuck is going on? We should have poverty fatigue, because they are letting in human beings who are impoverished, which is a form of spell work, and we got to watch it. I've been seeing a lot of energies and just wondered. And a lot of this alleged, what they call them bots, AIs, or whoever they have in effect or hire to write bullshit ass stuff, talking about taxpayer money, okay? I'm so confused. I'm very much confused of the motherfucking spell work. And the spell work that I'm confused of, the witchcraft and bewitchery, is food stamps. There's this infatuation with food stamps and taxpayers' money. And I'm like, well, I don't understand. How are you so concerned about fucking food stamps and taxpayers' money and your tax-paying dollars, and you not worried about a fucking executive order that you can't fucking see, and your tax dollars pay for the president and whosoever is backing his ass up salaries? You not worried about the Bill of Rights in your Constitution and where your tax money go with that? You not tripping that your tax money is helping these alleged executive orders go against you, but you have no research. Your tax dollars cover the, what is it, the Library of Congress, and they blocked that off and blocking off information. So I'm a little bit confused about this tax paying energy on food stamps. I don't give a fuck what they buy in junk food and anything else. Okay, and to tell people, well, my tax paying dollars pay for that. Well, some of them people on fucking food stamps tax paying dollars pay for that. Shit, I'm not gonna even fuck with you. I remember I was on them good food stamps, and a bitch was trying to tell me that, some social worker or caseworker bitch talking about, well, our tax dollars pay for this. And I said, and guess what? I've been working since I was motherfucking 15 years old. So I invested in this. So now what? And she had to look at me all type of sideways. Because the bottom line with these food stamps, this is nothing but game. They're not telling you that them motherfuckers that came across that goddamn border, they didn't gave them food stamps, housing, and medical care. Okay, and gave them their visas or whatever they call that. They're putting them in housing. Over there in Australia, they hella mad because they didn't sat up and gave housing to these Gaza motherfuckers. In San Francisco and all these other countries around the world. See, this is the shit that they're hiding from you. They got Japan on now. Japan gonna be all fucked up because they bringing in poverty. You got Milan bringing in poverty. Yeah, you heard me. They bringing in poverty, motherfuckers. They bringing all these impoverished motherfuckers around you. Then you wonder why your pockets are fucked up, because that's a form of bewitchery. You bring in poverty, and then what they'll do is bring in their culture within the poverty. The fucks? Over there in Texas, the police was called because there was hella smoke coming out of a garage. Allegedly, the fire department show up. Here's a whole bunch of Asian Indians up in there cutting the fuck up doing spell work. Okay? Poverty living under the Jubilee. Y'all not watching, you not peeping, because they're out here having you distracted talking about food stamps and taxpayers' money, but you're not focused on the right things for your taxpayer dollars. You have an energy out here of them telling you, we're going to get rid of the civil rights and equal opportunity. They can't do that. We're going to put a cease for now on civil rights. They can't do that because your taxpayer dollars pay for that. How? Under the Constitution. Under the Constitution, that doesn't fit. There are too many illegal actions going on. They out here playing in your face in air, telling you in the next couple of years, they're going to be spying on your cell phones, talking about if your calls are 10 minutes or more, we're going to be listening. That's in air because there's no laws in air. But under state and federal, that's against the law. See, you're not investing your tax dollars right then because you're too worried about food stamps. Then they over here talking about drones in the air following you, which technically that's against your privacy, but because it's in air, they could do whatever the fuck they want to do that they believe because there isn't any rules. But still, it's still in violation of your rights, because you could flip it and say that is on earth. If I could see it, that's on earth. Anything you can see it's on earth. But they playing in your face because now you could switch up. Remember I said maritime laws? But you could switch that up and say, nah, that's still on earth. You're giving us frequencies on earth. That's the bewitchery, right? Because then I thought about it. People out here angry and trying to make fun. Yeah, they don't need to be eating all that junk food anyway. I said, okay, so therefore you're trying to play in people's faces because there's a bigger picture and a larger investment with this whole food stamp shit, and is dealing with the Bill Gates effect. Because we understand Bill Gates, really energy doesn't exist. It's just a paid for frequency. Okay, because we understand there's a sponsor, there's a LLC behind him, and we just don't know who the motherfuckers are, but we can understand that there's something that follows him. So they're talking a lot about the processed and fake ass foods that they're creating out here, fake butter, fake fruit, and all of that. And people who are on food stamps tend to shop at places that are bulky, like especially even like your food codes and whatever else. What we have your Piggly Wigglies, and was it Waco, whatever, but all those places that have those type of energies, right? And we understand sometimes those fruits are questionable. Okay, so in understanding that, they're pushing a narrative, and they're creating fake ass fruits and vegetables, and people on food stamps probably tend to buy it. You're better off going to a health food place, but not Whole Foods, because we already understand Amazon, runs Whole Foods, and that Trader Joe's is on some bullshit as is. And then the fake GMO seeds that they have out there, you barely, can grow vegetables and whatsoever. However, if there's a will, there's a way. If they're out here playing with your pimping, and they're out here talking about you can't buy junk food, what you need to do is go buy you some of them used cookbooks and shit, and make your kids some shit like that from scratch. So therefore, if you want to make your kids some fucking potato chips, then just go get you some potatoes, but you have to be careful with the potatoes, because some of the potatoes are questionable too. So therefore, you just have to kind of just wing it. There's a will, there's a way. You cook it from scratch. They out here saying you can't buy cakes, then you make the cake. They out here saying you can't make candy, you make the candy. They out here talking about you can't buy certain juices and shit. You can do it. You can be creative. Just go back to your ancestors. That's ancestral magic. You can do it. Okay, it might be much better than buying that processed shit that's poisoning your system in the first fucking place. They want to play in your face about some damn Coca-Cola, then you figure out how to make it your goddamn self with some fucking seltzer water. All you got to do is play up the hack of that Nora Smith. You could figure it out. I'm telling you, just go and invest in some old cookbooks. You will find everything you need. Ones from the 40s, the 50s, and 60s, and 70s. The ones from the 80s become very gourmet. The ones in the 90s, they are right. But the earlier years, when you go, even in the 30s and stuff like that, and it's good to go find old school soul food, even cookbooks, all of that. Shoot, white cookbooks. Look for shit how to make fucking jello, gelatin, all that shit. You can do it. They out here playing in your face, thinking you gotta buy all that shit. Shit, you could make some fucking cookies. Buy your ass some flour and shit in a fucking sifter, and call it a day. Okay? That's just what it is. If it's that fucking serious, you could go buy yourself some of them sugarcane energies and make you all type of juices and shit. You could buy you some teas and make you some all type of juices. You could do all type of shit. Hibiscus, all that shit. What are you talking about? You just have to put on your thinking cap. What the fuck you think our ancestors did and the people before us? They didn't have any of this shit. They were creative. How in the fuck you think pralines were fucking produced? All type of candies you can make just from scratch. Go that route, okay? And that will knock out all this shit. And reason why I said health food stores, because if there's a difference in going in my world, your Safeways, your Albertsons, your Save-Ons or whatever in your area, but if you actually go into like a Mother's, maybe a Sprouts, I don't know, in your area, whatever health food place, that's a different type of energy. And I'm tired of the face of food stamps of being a fat black woman with a whole bunch of children, because that's not the face of food stamps. The face of food stamps are Middle Easterns, Indians. I'll keep telling you. And to be honest with you, it's not even the Latino community. And then Chinese come in. Chinese always on somebody food stamps. But what they're playing is on the stereotypical person. So when we talk our tax paying dollars, then we need to really apply our tax paying dollars, because we're not doing it. Because we need to be concerned about how come you keep talking about some fucking executive orders, but you not showing me what the fuck those executive orders, just like I talked about that shit in DC and talking about in federal da 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 da, and then we have the right to put people in jail if they resist, then prove it. Show it to me. These executive orders that he's allegedly signing off on, and he could be doing stick figures. It's just like the mandate. Well, it's mandated. It's mandated. It's mandated. Is this executive order Witchery is as bad as first responders. What the fuck is a first responder? You mean the police? You mean the ambulance? You mean the fire department? The firefighter? Can we use our nouns to describe person, place, or thing? We are so lazy with our vocabulary now, aren't we? That's and I peeped the laziness when you guys went for narcissist. He's narcissistic. He's a narcissist. Use your nouns, your adjectives, as they say. Come on. You guys are dumb. They're dumbing you down. You don't even research your rights. You don't even try to pick up to understand something to research your rights. You don't even understand where in the fuck your tax money goes. They have dumbed you down to only focus on food stamps. But you're not even realizing there's shit that they keep talking about that's happening in front of our faces, and we don't ask questions. Do you understand that your tax dollars are paying for Indians to go to college in America and scholarships? Your tax dollars and endowments and all that shit. We out here letting them play us on this. 600,000 Chinese are going to be coming to the United States in college and da 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 da. I'm not worried about no dang Chinese. They've been here. They've been here. What's the big deal? I'm very interested why they're arresting the Chinese men up in India. Matter of fact, I'm going to call them what the white folks call them, Asian Indians. I was looking at Megan's Law, and I was looking them up of their assault and batteries and lascivious acts score 6, and they call them Asian Indians. So I'm going to call them what the white folks call them, Asian Indians. You know, I call them Hindusans. I don't even know what they are. I just know that they're in the Bible, and they say to stay the fuck away from them. And I'm not being rude. I'm just looking at it for what it is. Maybe we need to investigate that. We need to go to each college, look them up, look at their scholarships, and who and what type of scholarships are they offering. They even offering scholarships if you are a pretend woman. They done went from non-binary now to this shit. No, research the scholarships. because they're paying for them to go to school here. Some of your tax dollars go to that. They out here keep sacrificing black people to benefit other people. That DEI is fake as fuck. I don't know what the hell that is. And people make it a big deal. Oh, Target. I shop at Target and I don't give a fuck because I know that's on bullshit. DEI does not exist. DEI was for white women and others, Indians. Because you will understand underneath DEI who benefited. It wasn't us. Tax dollars. Okay. There's something going on in Louisiana that I don't understand. And I don't understand why there isn't more news about it. And we are investing our tax dollars in the media. They're saying in Louisiana and New Orleans, allegedly, Umar Johnson is there, or was. Tyler Perry, supposedly at the Ritz-Carlton. I'm just saying allegedly. I'm just saying what people talk about, and Zelensky and some other people. I'm mentioning these people because they're there at the same time as the chemical spill. So apparently there's this, I guess, gasoline or this company called Smitty Oil. And there has been a very, very, very horrible explosion, and there's oil and chemical warfare everywhere. And I believe is it pushing through various parishes. And there was an evacuation that happened that was very crazy. And a spiritual constituent of mine showed me the explosion. It was black. And apparently they were having multiple explosions. They were saying about 3 or 4, this fire going. And I said, whoa, was there anybody hurt? Now, allegedly, it wasn't anybody hurt, right? I said, oh my gosh. So in this and learning of what's going on, I'm like, what's happening? What's the connection? Nobody knows what's going on. But we can say it is environmental, it's dealing with ecology, it's messing up wildlife. Fishing, water. People can't drink water. People can't take baths. There's oil everywhere. It pushes into the Mississippi River, into the what is it? What is it? Trying to think. The Gulf of Mexico, which can push into Florida. The spill can hit Mississippi, Alabama. It is horrible, right? The governor of Louisiana is very questionable because he told them, figure it out, niggas. Figure it out, elders. I ain't doing shit for you. These people had to be evacuated, didn't have a place to go. They tried to go to the motels owned by Indians, and Indians like, hell no, fuck no, call FEMA. FEMA ain't around. Red Cross showed up, but you know how they are. I said, how in the fuck are you going to have motels in the area when they should have let those people in and got repaid by the federal government? You know that your tax-paying monies pay for, because your tax-paying money pay for this kind of shit. This was a whole witchcraft. And allegedly Homeland Security was blocking the roadways where people couldn't get in and people couldn't get out. I said, this is like a fucking purge. So they'll deploy the National Guard in DC to harass people. And then because they don't got shit to do, have them clean up fucking the grounds. But meanwhile, you need them over there in Louisiana. And I think it's the main spot with Amy. The shit is so convoluted of what's going on. There's so many write-ups. They had a town hall meeting at the church, at one of the churches, I think in Amy. And the shit that I heard, it was despicable. And I'm looking at the congregation or the people who went for the town hall meeting. It is elders. I told my spiritual constituents, it's very clear that they are trying to get rid of y'all out of that town to do something else. I said, these are senior citizens and you treat senior citizens like shit and they're all wearing masks and you're blocking the media and you blocking people from entering in and out. What the fuck is going on? And so I told her, I said, this is a class action lawsuit because you don't know the long-term effect of that chemical spill. And nobody can explain. And then they were asking for blood. I said, I thought there wasn't anybody. I said, anybody in there who died. And then allegedly, people are saying that some people did go to the hospital and they told somebody, then told them to shut the fuck up and don't say nothing. What? So people can't go in, they can't go out. They talking about Homeland Security, not letting out people, not letting them in. It's just crazy. There's a badass chemical spill going on. Okay, so people trying to get their money together, trying to see these attorneys. They have segregated attorneys. They have alleged Russian/Ukrainian attorneys working for the, white people, meaning the white people can go to the Ukrainian and Russian attorneys, and then they have sidewinder white attorneys, and then they have some kind of black attorneys that people don't trust, Cassandra Butler and I think Alexis Taylor. And it's a belief that they have those attorneys so the black people don't get as much money as the white people. What the fuck is going on in fucking Louisiana? It is a disaster. And they know it. The mayor told the people, just wing it. You'll figure it out. These people didn't have water, food, nowhere to sleep. Some of them hadn't taken baths. And allegedly, they just now let them go back home, yesterday? A spiritual constituent of mine, after she couldn't afford to, find a place to find shelter, she had to go under the, what is it, she had to go in the backwoods to go cut to her house to go back home. She had to go the Underground Railroad, Harriet Tubman. And then they still got her. They said in them shelters, they were starving people, wasn't even giving people food. But at the church, they were, helping people out and giving them food and stuff at the church. But here's what's weird. To go to sign up for a lawsuit, they want people, I guess, what is that, the Holiday Inn and the Comfort Inn? Where the Indians own? I said to myself, well, how come the black people couldn't just go to the church? And the attorneys just go to the church. Why at the Comfort Inn and Holiday Inn? What the fuck is going on? And then everybody is wondering, the residents, how come it's not on mainstream, on CNN and Fox and whatsoever? And it's just local. I said, well, we didn't forget about LaToya Cantrell. I said, what is it? The mayor, the governor don't want to do shit? Too busy fucking on her, allegedly? What's happening? And we're not going to talk about Texas and Abbott. Is his name Abbott? Isn't he getting sued by the NAACP? But where is the NAACP in this energy? Nobody want to talk about the discrimination and racism going on here. And just so happen they want to tell us that the Civil Rights Department is on freeze. It ain't on freeze. They need to go on and file a civil rights issue because this is a human issue. This is chemical warfare. And Smitty owe everybody money. But maybe the next time they shouldn't be up in the damn alleged cemetery over there. Was it Roslyn Cemetery? Doing spell work, calling on black ancestors. Why were they allegedly doing that? I guess Smitty, meaning this, I guess they're Smiths. And people are allegedly saying that they saw them up in the cemetery doing spell work and calling on black ancestors. I said, well, what in the hell they was trying to do? The Smiths who own Smitty's up in the cemetery, Roslyn, calling on black ancestors. And then somehow Robert F. Kennedy Jr. somehow, I don't know, wrapped up in this. I said, what? And they talk about he has a plantation over there somewhere. I said, what in the world? And then when the person was talking about that allegedly that Zelensky was, over there in New Orleans at the Ritz-Carlton, and then we're finding out that the Ukrainian attorneys, what are Ukrainian attorneys? You see how they sneaking in people underneath you? And I said, shit, were they connected to what the fuck was going on in them warehouses? What's happening? Your tax dollars, right? They talking about Elon Musk and them were there allegedly. We at the Ritz-Carlton, we don't know what the fuck is going on. This is a federal lawsuit. Crimes against humanity, human rights, criminal negligence, racial and ethnic discrimination. A push out, poison, environmental poisoning, a oil disaster. The fuck? Fish are dead. Wildlife is dying. Wildlife is sick. Soil is toxic. Oil on vehicles. Oil on people's houses. Where has Ben Crump on this? They know what's going on. Everybody knows what the fuck is going on in Louisiana. But you said you worried about your tax dollars and food stamps. But your tax dollars is not going where it's supposed to go. Red Cross and all those places, FEMA, all of that get federal funding. Those motels get federal funding. If they get federal funding, then it's we the people. It's under the Constitution. They'll get their money back from the federal government and grants. It seems like there's always something, there's some kind of connection dealing with some third world energy, anything now dealing with the United States. It's probably been going on. There's so much shit going on in Louisiana, it's unbelievable. Just like what is it when I said the warehouse with that young man who died. And they said they have been taking them boys to those warehouses and abusing them and sexually assaulting them. And they were saying, what's his name? I think it started with a C. And he died, and he was part of a fraternity, and they said his body couldn't take it anymore. And they said there's so many people all up in that shit. Lawyers, doctors, attorneys, pastors. Was this Smitty shit a whole insurance game? Who knows? But all we know is that the elders and people are affected by this, and there is not a tone or a talk about it. There's not an outrage about it. There's not an NAACP about it. There's not, hey, we are the people about it. There's no taxpayer issues about it. Nothing. The mayor ain't shit. The governor ain't shit about it. It's when I heard at the town hall meeting what the fuck the governor said. Oh wow. Your tax dollars. Right? They have caused so much poverty. I had to do some energies in Vegas. It's gotten worse. It's like it's like to the point that some work was done in Vegas, and they have made it a wasteland. They have fucked up the economy. And it is true that a lot of shit is not making sense. But what makes sense is America moving financial frequencies out of Vegas, because Vegas was also a energy that profited America. Poverty. Right? I was telling someone, I said Atlanta. I said Atlanta was a poverty wasteland for rejects. And now the rejects then moved to Texas. I started to examine a lot of frequencies that was going on in Atlanta. And I analyzed people moving from New York and so on into Atlanta. I said, those are fucking rejects. If you're not there for school and you're not there to have a business or whatever you need to do, why in the fuck are you there? You're there because you're a fucking reject and you couldn't make it in your own town. You should never move anywhere without being prosperous. You're just a fucking reject and created a town as a wasteland. You're just a waste. Now, the only stories that we're getting out of Atlanta and even Texas is HIV rates are high and this and that and this and that and dumbass shit. A wasteland. You're just a fucking reject. Make it in your own shit. Then push forward. Other than that, you just look like a wannabe. Talking about Black Hollywood. Well, how come Black Hollywood couldn't make it in Hollywood? How come you rejects didn't go to Southern California or push into New York? I remember there was this whole push like in the late 80s and 90s, late 80s into the 90s to move to New York. And the people who did it did not make New York a wasteland. That's Spellwork right there. How come Black Hollywood could not remain where it's supposed to be? And then as I started to look at the supposed Black Hollywood, those are rejects. They even moved Steve Harvey there. You have people in Texas moved out of California now want to move back to California, saying, "Ooh, yeah, it appeared to be worth it, but everywhere they move, the rejects, then Indians and others come in and take over and push your ass out. It's like they get the rejects to fuck up the shit for them to rebuild it." You heard what I said, rejects. Again, if you're not there handling your business, doing what you're supposed to do, and you don't have certain business there, then why are you there? They have created Atlanta or Georgia for rejects and then pushed your ass into Texas. Just like Las Vegas is for rejects now. Not being rude, just looking at how they're playing the game of poverty, poverty-based minds. I was minding my business. Reading Timothy, 2 Timothy. And I don't understand how Black women, I'm not going to say Black people, Black women, how we didn't see shit coming. 2 Timothy warns us about the commander-in-chief. It warns us how the commander-in-chief believes he is God. And because he is God, he don't want you to think outside yourself. So what he does is dissolve any outside work, any outside entity, any outside entertainment, any outside energy, and all he does is drown you with his philosophies because he doesn't want you to have a mind. You better look at that 2 Timothy. The 2 Timothy warns us about men. And paraphrasing, it warns us, it is telling us that men are going to act just like that towards us, nasty, and harm us, and be talking rudely to us, and for us to watch out and not pay attention to them. It also tells us how to work around them and to not let them rule us. And I'm wondering to myself, is warning us against false prophets, fake men with wisdom, false gods. We are never supposed to listen. It's showing us that even how they're playing with the job market, they're in the 2nd book of Timothy. God, they went into eunuchs, Esther, they went into Timothy, they went into 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy. They just keep using the Bible against us, and they playing in our faces, and you niggas still want to fuck around with these guerrilla preachers and these teachings. They warned us about them stealing our religion. They are so bad that in Bakersfield, California, and in Los Angeles, they want to figure out a way how to block heat. Commander-in-chiefs. What you mean block heat? So we don't have hot summers. I said, what makes them think they have the power to do that? Our taxpayer dollars don't pay for that. Who is doing that, right? Our taxpayer dollars was paying for children especially female girls, to get mastectomies at children's hospital? Have y'all been like listening to these people talk about as kids? They were being forced to go to children's hospital. One Texas, one is in was it in Washington D.C. Main locations, I think in Chicago or Boston. They was talking about this, and these people coming up with pelvic floor dysfunction and urinary issues. I said, why would they said a double mastectomy, medications that cause all type of energies. This is Second Timothy. Men are really afraid of women. I was listening to this guy, what's his name? Marquite, and he calls himself the Saint, and somebody forwarded him over to me to listen to, and he was arguing with this lady, telling this woman that men are basically in front of women. In so many words, better than women. And he was arguing with this woman, another Kevin Samuels effect. And people know who he is, but I said, how many of these fuck boys are around? These are fuck boys. These are bitch niggas. And the first thing they attack is your weight. They'll attack all of these various frequencies. Who gives a fuck? Why are they around? And I started to research some energies, and I was talking about it to my spiritual constituents. And I said, we need to go back and look at slavery. We need to just kind of go back. And when we go back and look at slavery, as you guys call it, the Holocaust, your feelings will be hurt. And there are hidden, I had to talk to somebody I know who work for museums and stuff. There's so much shit as Black women you don't know that they're hiding from us because they need to reconstruct history. Do you understand all that Black love shit and our man love us and our man this? No. There's a certain energy and time that they had a hatred towards us, and they sold us to these motherfuckers. They sold you to the Moors. They sold you to these white folks. These men, our men sold us. They sold us and the children. Sometimes they even have their own relations with the motherfuckers. I was talking to a spiritual constituent, and we was talking about how they were bed wenching with these men. I had spiritual constituents bring up them letting other plantation men harm their women and sexually assault. We don't want to talk about how they threw us under the bus. Did they teach the white man how to treat us? Are they afraid that we will end up knowing the truth? Anytime a man is saying, I tell you, or I this, you better be suspicious. No lesbian here. I'm just giving it to you like it is. Our men, our Black men, and maybe some of you mixed company women, but our Black men are running around here like fucking feral rabid dogs. And you know what you got to do with rabid dogs, because some of them have rabies. And as Black women, we better open our fucking eyes and understand they not for us. And we have to go back in history and stop listening to what the Black man was for to protect. No, they never protected our Black asses. We have always protected them. We have always backed them up. We have always sacrificed our life for them. We have put our religion down. And when I was listening to homie that on that, was it the Saint channel, wherever he is, or McQueen, whatever, talking about spirituality cause Black women to be broke. Where spirituality put money in y'all nigga pockets, put you through college. The fuck you talking about? And the funny thing with these new type of Black men, they think if they talk calmly to you. See, my sons told me that what they call bait anger or anger baiting. Yeah. And my son was like, Mom, you act like a dude. You act like a dude. I said, oh, you a fucker boy, huh? They were like, Mom. I said, well, it's very clear you've been listening to the internet, and anybody that listen, any man that listen to the internet, boy or whoever, and you listen to that fuck boy shit and you keep putting that masculine energy on me and I'm just your mom, I'm just a woman, you're a fuck boy. You doing bitch ass shit. I go through this all the time with my clients having to deal with their husbands, their little boyfriends, and all that weird shit. Where black women fucked up, we forgot to have our own businesses. I started thinking about, I was telling somebody, I said, hey, something changed. And I think it changed around the boomer or the people before them, because our ancestors worked and went to school, had their own businesses. Where in the fuck did black women become so comfortable and lazy to get on jobs and be on jobs for 30 and 40 and 50 years or 20 years and then say this is all I have? So that makes it easy for this government to come in and take your jobs from you or remove certain energies from you because you relied on something that wasn't definite. But black people had their own businesses and livelihoods. Do you know they have the audacity to recreate that CJ Walker care? No, I want to know who is behind that CJ Walker shit. Is it an Indian? Is it an Asian? Who is it? Because they are relaunching the hair product. Meanwhile, you got white girls out here doing extensive research on fiber and hair, going to China telling us which is the better hair, and teaching us about meshing, and teaching us about there's fake hair that they use silicone and acid wash. And we want to relaunch what? If you ain't talking like that to me, I need to understand something. I want to get more invested on the type of hair these Jewish women are wearing. I want to understand what happened to that alopecia movement that was black. Now you got white women with alopecia. If you're not talking to me about that, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't need to hear the next best thing and you go send your shit off to China somewhere for them to do a distribution or whatever, and then next thing you know, your hair fucked up. Maybe our hair is fucked up because our diets are fucked up. And it has nothing to do with you being fat or skinny or whatever. You're fucking malnourished. But this is all surrounding men. Men. That's why I said these men are walking Pharaoh. More and more they're showing these Middle Eastern men. I said, what the fuck is this shit? They've been doing these boys. They were doing this whole documentary from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They've been fucking these boys. They've been having boyfriends. And they infatuated with little girls. The fuck did you walk us in? What is this? And they are freely having their little boyfriends as they have wives. You niggas was out there copying these damn Mormons with this polyamorous, and these Mormon white men be having their women on food stamps and welfare. What the fuck are you doing? There's a lot of white shit. You getting black men out here talking about that they are a super dom and they're in a relationship with a woman. The fuck are you talking about? This is a psychosis. Women, go to the gun shows, black women. Go and protect yourselves. Look at your talents within. Go to school, go to college. Fuck what they're talking about. We can support each other. Don't support these jobs, fuck them. We have to go backwards. We have people in front of us. They tricked you and told you don't even look at your ancestors. But the funny thing is, it was eunuchs. Certain motherfuckers. You have to be extra careful. You got white people going to fucking cemeteries pulling black ancestors, and your black asses can't even figure it out. I had to go back and think about my Aunt Julia and grandmother. I said they were never under men. My Aunt Julia said when she found out her husband cheated, she was on the next train to California. I told you she got caught with bigamy. This wasn't even with her husband. She didn't marry 2 other men. What's wrong with us? A man wanted to put his name on my grandmother's house, and my grandmother said, hell no, fuck no. But then my brother made sure to put a woman on my grandmother's house. That shows you the what's up. Lost that shit. You can't let men lead shit. They don't think right. They say we don't think right. What the fuck? What kind of spell work? I was up there. The reel popped up with Scrappy and Mama D. And I was listening, I was telling people about this. I was listening to Scrappy, and he was pouring his heart out to his mother. And he looked at what's his wife? His wife at the time. He looked at her and said she was hard, Bambi, and said his mother's hard. He couldn't go to them. What are you talking about? Hard. Black women have to be hard. And we're not hard like men. We just got to do what we have to do to survive in this world. Then I thought about some shit. I said, Mama, as Scrappy was talking to her, telling her his feelings, she was desensitized. She was detached. I said, she was a pimp. I said, did she pimp her son? Is that why they keep allegedly saying that Scrappy is on a down low? He be fucking around with dudes? What the fuck happened up in that house? Did you sell your son, Mama D? Did you let men do shit to your son and women having a trap house? But he still respected you on some kind of level? She couldn't get out of her ways to hear him. I'm not going to say it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. And as for Bambi, I think she's from Southern California, and she ended up there. So you have to remember, she was in a hot tub. She going to do what she do. Men want mommies. They want teddy bears. They want to be comforted. Black women don't have time for that. And the word of the Bible says it. We have white Jewish women out here saying that they are the daughters of Rachel. I said Rachel. But the new black woman, you guys are too busy passing out like you fucking Tila and shit, all falling the fuck out. Niggas out here, these new breed niggas out here being bitch, acting like Lil Nas X in fucking white cowboy boots and underwear. Stop playing. Too much witchcraft. Nah, I'm for black women changing. We got to change up our energies. And we're going to have to be tough. Because we have some motherfuckers out here and they under a new religion. And it is to fuck us up and to have us under control. And wearing a hijab on your head don't make you better. It just make you a slave. And if you can't use that to become a better woman, then I don't know what the fuck to say for you. This is why I said we have to figure out of being women first. We have dumb shit out here. Umar Johnson talking about if we give him $500, he'll sit down at dinner with us. Do you believe this nigga gonna take our money and pay for our shit with our money? Just like a nigga. But we crazy. What? We so silly. We got scammed out of spirituality. I was telling somebody, I said, do you guys understand Tasha K is supposed to be occultism and giving us spirit gossip? I want to understand what the fuck did she go to jail for, and what did they mold her to be? No judgment. I just want to understand what her sentence is. They replace occultism and spirituality talk with Tasha K bullshit. And then we have these Indians coming in. What's his name? Cameron Pusha, whoever. Now want to talk about occultism and Marilyn Monroe and shit. Nah. Wait a minute. The CEO of Essence Festival, Caroline Wanga, has resigned from her position and will not be returning after taking a health leave. Nah, bitch. There's something else going on there. Who need to take a health leave is this damn Trump. Have you seen his hands? I guess we understand what the Met Gala was about. George Lucas, his $1 billion futuristic LA museum unveils a first look ahead. Oh, goodness. Did you see Venus Williams looking like Mammy? Looking like Sambo Child? Why is she even playing tennis again? What type of energy they have her under? And what the fuck is going on with Serena? That is not Serena, and I need them to stop. They're out here blaming the Cosby Show for Malcolm Jamal's death. Okay. We don't have time for that. That's drama. What is this? The MTA caught using the MTA caught using a doctor with a suspended medical license to evaluate employees at MTA in New York. What is that? This is the bullshit going on? People out here talk about there's an executive order. If your ass say you bipolar or crazy, they're just going to take you to the psych ward and asylum. I told y'all. I said you kept fucking around with this autistic bullshit. I'm bipolar. I need therapy. I'm having a mental health issue. Keep it up. I told you black women cut that shit out. I wouldn't even go around saying you got a learning disability. They'll lock your ass up. I told you the witchcraft and spell work of it. This is what they were leading up to, right? Al Pacino, 82 years old, is expecting another child. Robert De Niro, 82 years old, expecting another child. Nicki Minaj is upset because nobody want to watch her ass. Cardi B on trial again? Or is this the same trial that she should have been on for those crimes that she did? I don't understand what's going on here. This is the bullshit in the universe. This is where your tax dollars are going. Black women in reality, if you was to put your man on a shelf and focus on your occultism and your spirituality, you wouldn't have to worry about all this shit. This is why they created this atmosphere about us. We were talking about materials and we were talking about fabrics and stuff, right? And I was telling somebody, I said, there's a lot of misleading energy. And we were talking about fabrics and textiles. I was talking about it with two different people. And we were talking about, and I was telling them about the Fulani tribe, and I was talking about also East Africa, of how saris originated there. And I was saying, I don't understand how in the fuck these Asian Indians got a hold of the sari whole energy. But we were talking about cotton, and I was saying, I have a feeling that something is off because cotton did not originate in Africa and it did not originate in America, but it was over there in that Asian Indian frequency. And then you had China with silks. But in Africa, it had its own energy, especially with the palm trees and stuff like that, that they could make their own clothing style, and also animals, extinct animals, and all of this, and also hemp. Okay, so with this energies of these Asian Indians stealing from different parts of the black people, what is this? And then I was, I was talking about Eskimos and stuff like that in reference to it, but the palm tree energy is very interesting. But again, what the hell? I said South America, Central America, into Mexico, into California, across parts of the United States, especially in swamp areas, that was sugarcane. Is there something that they need to tell us? Are we looking at an illusion? How come in most families they don't ever talk about picking cotton, but I've been hearing more and more about them in the sugar cane and hemp, especially in the Americas? Men, I tell my spiritual constituent who's in the world of textiles, I say it's a male dominated energy. You're gonna have to be a motherfucker. Black women, we're gonna have to figure out not to be part of this weird jubilee for poverty. They want us to be welfare mothers. They want us to be food stamp bound. They want to play in our faces. No. Go and buy you some sewing machines. Figure out how to sew, knit, whatever. I was listening to people talk about Rick Owens, how his shit has gone down. That's because he has a different fabric base. They said his showroom is ugh. I said I was wondering why they kept pushing him. His shit on whack. Fabric's cheap. Shoes breaking. It's not China. Sometimes you could find pretty good quality coming out of China. Where is it really coming from? And a lot of people swear India fabrics are it. No, it's not. We have to follow the money with Rick Owens and where he's getting his fabrics from. And we was talking about the trail of fast fashion. No, let's invest in fucking sewing machines and sew. As well as start making our foods from scratch, baby. That'll help out with some energies. Tailoring. As Black women, it seems like we better mind our business, because we have a couple of rabbit dogs running the streets. Anyway, this is Weird Renegade Witches blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done.